So I wanted to talk a little bit about the barriers of getting started towards your health and wellness goals. It's actually interesting. I just gave a talk earlier this week about uh, how difficult it can be to change your behavior and your habits. Because really, when we wake up, it's just a set of habits one after another that we tend to go through to get through the day and kind of come back and start the next day after that. Obviously, there's some different things that can happen that we can respond differently as the day goes on, but for the most part, we always have kind of a game plan as to where the days, or at least should have a game plan as to where the day is going, and that's what's going to be guiding our actions. So, a couple things I like to think about when I think about the difficulty of getting started. One is the idea of kind of inertia and momentum. Inertia being when an object is at rest. It kind of takes a certain amount of energy to get it going, right? So when you first want to get it going, it takes a large amount of energy, a larger amount of energy. But once it gets going, then we get to the idea of momentum, where once you get started and you start to try to get into a routine the best you can, it becomes easier and easier to get into the routine. And before you know it, the ball's rolling very quickly, and it's very difficult to get it to stop it at that point. So I like to think about the will to change your health and wellness is very similar. In the beginning, it's going to be very challenging to get started or to find time to go to the gym or to figure out, how am I going to make, dinner night after night, or how am I going to prep my lunches for work when, I typically do this and I don't have the time and, this and that. The reality is, if we sit and we think about the amount of time that we have in a day and exactly what we're doing in a day, there's going to be some time, there's going to be some kind of solution to that problem. So rather than getting flustered with it, the best thing to do is try to keep a clear mind and really try to get creative in thinking about ways you can get past the obstacles, because that's all they are. And there's no one right answer. It's going to be different for everyone based off their lifestyle, and obviously everyone's goals are different as well. So that we'll also have to take that into account. So if you're having trouble with kind of making that change or staying on track, take a minute to write down your goal and try to envision what that goal means to you once it's accomplished, and envision yourself after that goal is accomplished. And then think about the obstacle that's getting in the way currently. After you kind of envision that obstacle, think about some solutions as to how you can get over that hurdle, and try to clear your mind and try not to get emotionally flustered when you're thinking about this. So a lot of times we like to just shut that down right off the bat, like, oh, no, I don't have time. Rather than thinking like, well, how can I make time in my schedule to get this done? And how can I make this a priority in my life and in my schedule and in my daily routine, so that, trusting the process, once I add this into it and do the best I can to continue to have some consistency with it, I can always build on that momentum. And obviously when we're talking about habit change, the way the brain works, it's going to be hard to start new actions because, we're always trying to protect the life that we have. And sometimes when making changes can be a threat to, the peace or to what we have going at this current situation. So we have to really use the part of our brain that's involved in, it's called the frontal cortex, that's involved in envisioning, what we're going to receive from these changes later on down the line, rather than thinking about, the, the difficulty at the present moment. And as long as we're focusing on the end goal and what this is going to accomplish, it's going to be a lot easier to make that decision now. Now, once you start to make that decision a certain amount of times, there's going to be another part of your brain that kind of recognizes that we need to keep that as a pattern, and then those things start to become second nature. So our goal is to basically continue to push through, the difficult spots when you're really thinking like, do I really want to do this? Is this going to fit in my schedule tonight? So on and so forth. Should I wake up early, or do I feel like waking up early? When you get to those points, try to envision the end goal of what it's going to be like once you have your health and wellness outcome. And let that motivate you to take this one step at a time. And then, eventually, once you've done that enough times, say 4 to 6 weeks, that action will be a lot easier to take. And you'll be doing it second nature without even realizing it before you know it. And once that happens, you kind of move on to the next health and wellness outcome, or the next health and wellness action that can lead you to your overall goal or overall outcome. So it's really as simple as that. That's just kind of, I guess, a play on words, but being very difficult at first, we can expect that, we know that, we can have a plan as to how we're going to approach those thoughts when they come into our head, and understanding that, having faith in the fact that when we do that enough times, it's going to become second nature, and once it does, the continuation of that action will ultimately get us to where we want to go. So that should be enough motivation to really keep us on the wagon. Always remember, no one stays on the wagon indefinitely. All of us get off the wagon. All of us make the wrong decision every once in a while. But once we make those decisions, instead of dwelling on it and feeling like a failure, because this is not pass or fail, just simply get back on the wagon and continue to pursue what you're after. Simple as that. All right, well, thanks for joining me. And hopefully you could take away a couple things from this message. Keep working hard, and I hope you're enjoying the group. Have a good one.